Paris, met with my nephew Sebastian, you may have met him, and I visited Rue du Bac, the Miraculous Medal. You must wear the Miraculous Medal. You know that the Virgin Mary appeared there to Saint Catherine Labouré in 1836 and announcing the fall of the monarchy and the disasters that will come over the world. Rue du Bac is like the Louvre of Paris. Crowds come day and night, praying there. Rue du Bac. And also visited some churches like Saint Sulpice, and I met with some priests of the missionaries, the foreign missions of Paris, les missions étrangères de Paris. It's interesting to know that in Asia, the first missionaries, Vietnam, China, Indochina, the first missionaries came from this place, the foreign mission of Paris. And there is a room called the Salle des Martyrs, the room of the martyrs, who have relics of all the martyrs of this congregation, of this order, how they were tortured, martyred in China, in Indochina, Vietnam. And the good news is that one of the young priests of the order, just ordained, offered his first mass in the Latin rite, in the extraordinary form. So there is great hope, with the new generations, that our mass will not die. We know that, but that's the reality. And after met with my mother, and we went to Brittany, and I have a little story to tell you, because where I was is a little island, and there was no priest. I spent 6 days over there, and on Thursday when I tried to reach the parish, the one in charge said, "Father, you are here, we have no priest, could you say the Mass on Sunday?" I said, "Fine, but it will be the Latin Mass." And he said, "Since there is no priest, people, I think, would prefer to have even a Latin Mass rather than nothing." Thank you. But don't laugh, because that's not the end of the story. So we put a sign at the door of the church, "Sunday will be the Latin Mass. Anyone interested in preparing this Mass, please come on Saturday to practice, some music." 4 people showed up, and Sunday came. The church was full, packed, but people didn't know it was the Latin Mass because they didn't read. Because tourists from Paris everywhere. So I announced today we offer the Mass according to the extraordinary form. Half of the people were not happy. So I tried to explain our right, the right we have, and so why we say Latin in this sacred language, universal language, is sacred. While the Canon is in silence, silence does not hide the mystery. Silence reveals the mystery. We enter in a deeper manner in the mysteries of silence. And while the orientation of the priest looking towards the cross, that expresses the eschatologic dimension of the Mass, the second coming of Christ. We turn toward the same direction, meeting with Christ. So I try to be a little bit diplomatic and to prevent from ignorance. But after the Mass, before the end of the Mass, half of the congregation left. And after the procession, when I processed out, a young man was very touched by the sermon. And he wanted to make a confession. So I heard his confession in the sacristy. But in the meantime, I believe some people wanted to talk to me. But they could not wait, and they complained. And they went to the bishop. The priest there has imposed us his marks, and he was so ashamed of himself that he hid himself, and we could not talk to him. And I was there, I was the last to leave the church. So I realized, something the Holy Father has is handful to make the Mass accepted by everyone in the church. There is still some prevention, some prejudices, and some meanness. It was mean. I just after Mass, I was asked to do it. And they went to the bishop against me, and the bishop replied, and had a letter read from the pulpit the following Sunday that this will never happen again. Who was this priest? He had no power, no jurisdiction. So we still feel in France, I can tell you, because this priest was on vacation and was sailing on the ocean with his boat this Sunday, but he had 23 parishes. 23 churches. In France now, one priest were in each village 40, 50 years before the Second Vatican Council. Each village could have his own priest. Now one priest has 12, 15, 23 or more villages. You know what I felt during my stay in France? The church is dying. It's sad to say, the church will not die, we know that, but it's dying. Cardinal Cyril, Monsignor Bach's mentor, wrote a book, Gethsemane, already 30 years ago. He foresaw the diminution, especially with the loss of vocations. It's a disaster. But some people prefer not to have a Mass at all. So you see how the minds are disoriented. And I felt that almost in my skin. So a lot of ignorance and some meanness. So we need to pray also for the church, especially the church in France and Europe. No vocations, no ordinations. There is only one place, it's in Toulon, in the south of France. There is a traditional bishop, not traditionalist, but traditional, welcoming the Latin Mass. He's the only one who had 23 ordinations. So, it should speak. And we were talking about that with our bishop. It's clear. There's still some blindness. Like in today's gospel, Jerusalem did not see the day of his visitation when his Savior was there. So we need to continue to pray because bad days are coming. The prophets in the Old Testament were prophets of doom. Jeremiah, it's not a good job, but when we are not faithful to God, when we blind ourselves voluntarily, we will pay it. So it was my adventure, and after I went to Africa, I was excited after 6 years, I went to Africa, not to Gabon.